Hello everyone, my name is Brett Cain, and this is my aviation presentation for Professor Washburn's class, Aviation 305, Airplane Aerodynamics. I'll be discussing the B-2 Spirit Bomber and the flying wing, and the aerodynamic capabilities of both these designs. Now, an important note before we get started, since the B-2 Spirit Bomber is still a current military aircraft that is being used worldwide, much of its information and technology is classified. For those reasons, we had to dive into the history of the flying wing, which is the airfoil design of the B-2, and find aerodynamic principles and capabilities of that, and then apply that to the B-2 Spirit bomber. With that brief background and how we did our research, let's get into the introduction. Towards the end of 1917, the military world of aviation was changing. The USSR and the United States were locked in a Cold War, which threatened nuclear attacks on both countries. As new technologies caused leaps and bounds in the deadly accuracy of both the air-to-air and air-to-ground missiles, the ability to strike a target without being detected by radar became a necessity. The B-2 Spirit bomber was developed to fit these growing needs. The first B-2 Spirit bomber was publicly displayed on November 22, 1988. A multi-role bomber, the B-2 is capable of delivering both conventional and nuclear munitions. The goal was to produce a bomber that could penetrate deep into enemy lines and deliver a nuclear strike without being spotted on radar. Initially, over 100 B-2 bombers were ordered to match the need of the growing tension between the USSR and the United States. However, due to the advanced technologies built into the aircraft, the production of the B-2 took significantly longer than expected, and the cost of the program was well above the estimated funds. When the USSR dissolved in the 1990s, production of the B-2 was all but halted, as the primary reason for development was no longer valid. However, the need for stealth bomber was still seen as a necessity and eventually brought the B-2 back into the United States and development. Since the Wright brothers' first flight, mankind has been trying to perfect the wing. The quest for the perfect wing and efficient airplane has been an ongoing challenge throughout most of the 20th century. As technologies improved, the fledgling aerospace science became better understood, more complex aircraft were designed. A design that has always been sought after is the flying wing, such as the B-2. Lacking both the fuselage and a tail, the flying wing is the most efficient wing in aircraft design ever, as it possesses very little drag and is exceptional at producing and sustaining lift. However, these benefits, and due to its lack of control surfaces, cause issues for the B-2 as well, and that is that the wing is very unstable. Due to this unstable nature, the flying wing was always banned from commercial aviation. Throughout its history, the superb aerodynamic characteristic of the flying wing made it desirable, but its unstable condition continued to plague its practicality. Because it was not able to be used due to safety concerns for commercial aviation, the Air Force was interested in pursuing the flying wing as a bomber. They started with the YB-49, which is pictured here, but due to its constant zigzagging and yawing motion, abandoned the idea in the 1940s, as the flying wing was seen as incapable of accurately delivering a bombing run. It was not until 1988 that the flying wing was given a second chance, this time as the B-2 Spirit bomber. With aerodynamic problems and benefits remaining the same, the United States was in the middle of the Cold War and stealth technology was in high demand. In the pursuit of an aircraft with a low radar signature, the flying wing was again examined. Stability still plagues the B-2. However, modern technologies and automation are able to control the aircraft precisely enough through sophisticated onboard computers. Were these onboard computers to fail or not in use and the technology is not applicable, the B-2 would still just be a concept. While the B-2 holds the title of the best bomber in the world, this does not mean it is perfect. One of the major issues with the B-2 is still its aerodynamic statisticity. One of the major issues with the flying wing is that its aerodynamic statistics do not scale proportionately. The problem of the flying wing, in this respect, is comparable to that of a rigid airship, as they are bound to be uneconomical when constructed below a certain minimum size. So only large-scale experiments can be proof of practicality, provided, of course, that previous research has given evidence of satisfactory solutions of problems which stability, control, and balance present. That's a bunch of technical words. In other words, and in more plain English, in order to test the characteristics of a flying wing, you have to do full-scale production, which is not practical in the long term, and was one of the reasons that the B-2 bomber was severely over budget in its development. The B-2 Spirit bomber is a subsonic bomber. However, due to its fixed wing design, it can fly faster than most fuselage aircraft. Where most other aircraft reach a deteriorating drag curve at Mach 0.85, the flying wing is able to fly at Mach 0.93 while maintaining performance penalty relative to the Mach 0.85 design. This means the aircraft can fly faster while still maintaining the benefits of flying slower, or at least by the numbers flying slower. However, it is theorized that with just a few tweaks and modifications as science improves, that this number can actually be increased to the speed of Mach 1.2, making the B-2 bomber a supersonic bomber. When it comes to stealth capability, the B-2 Spirit flying wing design leaves little to be desired. Due to the sharp angle of the flying wing design, the B-2 has already an extremely small footprint. When combined with radar reflecting technologies, the B-2 Spirit all but disappears from radar screens. However, we can't go into these information we cannot go into this deeply, as many aspects of the aircraft's low observability remain classified. However, the B-2's composite material, special coatings, and flying wing design all contribute to the stealthiness. While in testing, the B-2 was only visible on radar when directly over the target. In conclusion, the conceptual idea for the flying wing has been around since the early 1900s. However, due to its inherent instability of removing the tail of the aircraft, the practicality of the flying wing has been all but impossible. Due to new classified technologies and advancements in automation, controlling and sustaining the flying wing has become practical and feasible, as seen in the B-2 Spirit bomber. Improvements can still be made, however. Since a safe, controllable flight is currently all but dependent upon the assistance of automation, the inherent instabilities can return should the automation fail. Speed and range can also be improved further by optimizing the airfoil profiles and raising the Mach number. While there is still improvement to be made, the B-2 Spirit bomber is a fearsome bomber that proves the aerodynamic characteristics of the flying wing are successful. As technology studies continue to grow, the flying wing will become more stable and more refined. We've talked a little bit in a very short amount of time about the aerodynamic properties of the B-2 Spirit bomber and the flying wing. Overall, the flying wing is not perfect. However, it is the most efficient form of the wing and an airfoil. This has been Brett Cain discussing the B-2 Spirit bomber for Aviation 305, Professor Washburn's class, Airplane Aerodynamics.